we're here at the infamous Rabbit Hole Tasting Bar, and we're going to find out a little bit about the beers that they have to offer right now. So, why don't you guys tell us about what we're drinking right now?
Well, the first beer that we're drinking is the Mike Modano 561. This is a German-style Kolsch beer that was designed with Mike's help. It was named by Mike.
It's not a complex beer. It's really not. It's not supposed to be. It's a Kolsch. It's predominantly Pilsner malt with just a bit of. We use pearl hops for bittering, and Tettnang hops is what goes into flavoring and aroma and such. Okay. The base malt build is very simple. It's pretty much all Pilsner with just a dash of wheat in it. It's a fairly simple beer, but there's a lot of complexity to it. What we've got is a lot of sort of a soft maltiness that creeps in because of the way that we mash it, and then the yeast that we use provides a lot of character as well. It's a genuine Kolsch yeast that was taken from Cologne. It's one of the authentic Kolsch yeasts that originated in Germany that gives it that authentic flavor.
And you can tell, too. Honestly, what I love about this beer most of all is just the fact that you run into the occasion, I'm sure, of people who love craft beer, where you find the people who drink the Buds, the Coors, the Millers, who say, well, they don't make a beer that I like. No craft beer, it's too fancy, you know, there's too much flavor. But what I love about this is that it takes that concept of the Kolsch, and it shows the people that you can have something that light, quote-unquote, body, but still that has that complexity. So, you know, people who normally would drink a Coors or a Bud or a Miller, this is something that you can take, give to them and show them, hey, this is a lot better, and it's the same style, you know? So it kind of gives them that good comparison of this is good beer, this is not so good beer. And I do love that about that. It comes out. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of agree with what you said. Generally, it's a great introduction to craft beer for people who don't drink it. It's crisp, it's light, and it's not as complex as you think it is. Beer is simple, like me. That's all I have to say.
And Mike Modano's a fan.
It's all right. Mike Modano approved.
One of the other things is you know, being out there and getting to talk to people who've tried the beer and tried it around, is there's a lot of people who've come up to me and goes, you know what, I'm really not a fan of craft beer. I've drank my Miller for all my life, or I've drank my Bud for all my life, that are out there that really enjoy it. And I'm going to name drop real quick, but Craig Ludwig also played on the Stars with Mike. He told me the same thing. He goes, I just don't like craft beer. Now I get a text from him almost every day going, this bar's out of beer. This bar's out of the 561. Bring me more 561. So he actually is a fan of it as well. And I'm getting that from a lot of people that just says, I've never really liked the craft beer scene. I've never really liked the craft beer, but they really do enjoy this one. And that's kind of the whole design of this beer, is to move people off of you-know-who and onto the real stuff.
You-know-who. All right. Well, I'm ready to try something new. We might want to chug this. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
All right, we're here for beer number 2. This is called the Rapture. So tell us about the Rapture.
We're pouring Rapture right now. Rapture is a fusion brown ale. It's an American-European fusion brown ale. And actually, it's one of the reasons I was very attracted to Rabbit Hole and joining the team was when I had this, I was really impressed. Because it looks super dark, but it's got a very nice kind of medium, lighter body than you're going to think just by looking at the color. Yeah. But then you get all these other characteristics. But that's just my opinion. Let's ask the expert.
No, this is it really is an English brown ale with an American attitude. Pump it up in a couple of ways, but really keep the toasty, nice malt backbone of a good English brown. Something that we don't see a lot. A lot of browns come out in a little bit of a disrespected style. We get a lot of pale ales with food coloring. We get a lot of, a lot of overly hopped beers, which you want some hops in this beer, but you definitely want to showcase the malt. So I mean, this is really all about a nice malt backbone and then some nice northwestern hops in order to finish it out and give a little bit of an American zing to it.
I pick up a little bit of citrus. I think that comes from some of the Pacific hops that are used in here.
Yeah, it's a combination.
I even, the toastiness is definitely there, but a slight coffee finish. What other notes are you kind of picking up?
I always tell people, think about toasted bread.
Yeah.
And take that nice brown stuff that comes when you're right out of the toaster, scrape it off and smell it. That's what this smells like to me. A lot of people get the coffee And that's a little bit darker, and it's definitely there, but I get a just nice, real strong toasty malt flavor.
No, and I agree with you on that. Like when I drink this, what I think of, and bear with me on this, but I think Nutella on burnt toast, and then I think a shot of espresso next to it. That's how I view it.
And
yeah.
Different from the espresso, though, I think it cleans up nicely, and that
it
was
does.
really important to us. Was something that, although it's a dark beer, we hear people say all the time, saying, "I don't like dark beers, but I really like this Rapture." And that was important, something that you can go into a bar, you want to have more than one of, and then say, I'm done, whether it be for alcohol reasons or just, how strong the finish is.
Yeah.
This should be a nice light finish, medium mouthfeel and a light finish that makes you want to come back and experience the Rapture again.
And you did a great job of it. It doesn't linger on the back of your tongue. It stays more towards the tip, and when you're finished with it, you're finished with it. And you can move on to something completely new and go on to a different beer, and it's not going to, in a way, mess with the experience of trying something afterwards, which is great. It's kind of like having good beer manners, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that is definitely what she said.
Now, one of the cool things about the two beers that we currently have, we do have another beer coming out that we talked about earlier, but we can also take these beers and do something with them.
So Whitney, if you'll kindly scull 30% of that beer.
All right.
So what are you about to do here, Tom? This is kind of crazy.
This is something that our tasting room bartenders created, which we support wholeheartedly. This is called the Rappa-dano.
Rappa-dano?
Rappa-dano.
Yeah.
Well, that almost sounds like it might be a mix between Rapture and Modano.
Oh.
What?
That's so crazy it might be true. No. Well, this is my curiosity because honestly, usually you take two beers because they both use different yeasts.
Absolutely.
They're different grain bills, they're different hops. How do they play together?
The subtle fruitiness of the Kolsch yeast with the toastiness really blends very well. Very well. You just do not want the Kolsch to take over.
What do you think, ladies?
Oh, wow.
It's tart and still toasty on my palate.
Mm-hmm.
The malty finish is great.
Yeah, the malt comes out a lot more at the end. It allows you to have more of that toasted feel to it. It keeps, the Kolsch kind of blocks out all the sweetness of it, and then at the end you still get that toasted malt. So it really kind of gives it a really interesting contrast. That's really fascinating.
Was this an accident?
I was going to say, how did this happen exactly?
A happy accident.
Some people kept asking for 50-50 mixes, and obviously we want to be able to deliver something that's new to the folks that are coming to the tours. And we started getting curious about it, so we tried it, and then just kind of started working with the balance and the 30-70, where we found that the taste profile was well balanced. And then from there, brainstormed, hey, a name, and that wasn't very hard because you take the name of one beer and the name of another beer,
and you do
this. And you keep smashing them together.
Until eventually they
You dipped your chocolate in my peanut butter. And bam, Rappa-dano is born. Damn it, and bam, Rappa-dano is born. I'll take.
There are no cuts on beer Betties.
There are no cuts. But for some reason it does put a dinosaur in my mind, which is weird. I don't remember that in Alice in Wonderland.
At this point, I'm picturing a dinosaur with Mike Modano's head in Never Never Land, and I'm really just
with little
confused.
short stubby arms, but still scoring goals.
I saw a raptor in a jersey with a hockey stick.
Tell us what's coming next. That's a good question.
The 10 and 6 is a English style IPA. It's authentic to style. It's definitely something that uses all the English malts, all English hops.
We're looking forward to look for 10 and 6. When is it going to come out?
I would say I expect it probably out in bars and restaurants at the later part of February.
Okay, so start asking for 10 and 6. Remember, if you ask your bars for Rabbit Hole, they will get it for you. If they know there's a demand, they will bring it to you. So make sure to ask for Rabbit Hole, ask them for 10 and 6. All right.
Awesome.
Cheers, guys.
Please get that.
Oh my God!
I'm out of here before I start.
That's just precious.